Can a human kidney grow to 4 times its normal size? The answer is yes. But what if the man whose kidneys did exactly that was one of the most powerful rulers in Central Europe, a king who brought the Ottomans to the negotiating table, who made Moscow tremble? And when his chest was cut open after his death, a surgeon who had seen hundreds of corpses in his lifetime simply froze. Then the question becomes this: was this really just a disease? Picture this. December 1586, Grodno Castle. Snow is falling outside, wind is pressing through the cracks in the stone walls, and the room, nothing like a king's chamber should look, carries that smell. Sweet, heavy, organic decay. Rotting flesh, mold, and that sharp, suffocating weight that tells you something is breaking apart from the inside. Servants enter with their hands over their noses. The surgeons look at each other. No one speaks. The man curled up in that bed was still sitting on his throne 3 days ago. Now he is barely recognizable. His face is yellowed, deep purple rings hang beneath his eyes. His body burns with fever, but his hands are cold as stone. His lips are brittle, his breathing uneven, and those eyes, the eyes that once made entire courts go silent, are staring at the ceiling, seeing nothing. This is Stefan Batory's final hour, and everyone in that room knows it. This death is like nothing they have ever seen. Royal surgeon Nicasius Elebodius had opened hundreds of bodies in his lifetime. He had seen battle wounds, plague victims, poisoning cases. He carried a medical experience that stretched from Istanbul to Warsaw. His hands had never shaken. But that morning, when he first opened Batory's chest, he stopped. Then he took a step back. The kidneys, 4 times their normal size. Not firm, not translucent. Their insides were dark, quivering, filled with a gelatinous, heavy mass. Elebodius took out his notebook, held his pen, stared for a long time, and finally wrote, "Nothing like this has ever been seen before." That was all. No further explanation, no diagnosis, no other words. And that single sentence became the beginning of a question that has never fully closed in 400 years. Let me tell you the medical truth now, because this is the part that most history books either skip entirely or present in a sanitized version. If those kidneys were brought to a pathology lab today, the strongest candidate diagnosis would be polycystic kidney disease, a genetically transmitted condition advancing in silence, where fluid-filled cysts slowly grow inside the kidneys and eventually render the organ completely unrecognizable. It gives no symptoms for years. Then everything collapses at once. So think about this. Batory may have known for years. Maybe every morning when he woke up he felt that ache, that numb weight in his lower back, that unexplainable fatigue. And he could tell no one, because a sick king was a truly vulnerable king. A single enemy who knew would have been enough to bring everything down. What was it like to carry that secret? Every morning climbing onto the throne, forcing himself to appear strong in every meeting, knowing what was growing inside him. Now you need to understand who Batory was, but I'm not going to tell you the way a history book would. I'm going to tell you what kind of world he actually lived in. Think of the 16th century as a chessboard. The Ottomans are expanding in the south. Russia is growing in the east. European courts are poisoning each other. And in this picture, everyone is just trying to survive. Stefan Batory plays this board with moves no one expects. Instead of fighting the Ottomans, he builds strategic relationships with them. He corners Ivan the Terrible, one of the most dangerous men in Europe, through military genius. He saves the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth from collapse, pushes reforms from the inside, invites the Jesuits in for education. And he does all of this while surrounded by enemies, in an environment where everyone is plotting against him. But every victory has a price. Batory's price was a list of enemies that only kept growing. A significant part of Polish nobility despised his strong centralized authority, because a powerful king meant powerless nobles, and that equation appealed to no one. Ivan the Terrible had been sharpening his teeth over every piece of land he lost to Batory, and history had shown us many times just how long-range and patient Ivan's sense of revenge could be. The anti-Jesuit factions felt an existential threat from his reforms, and above all of that sat one single truth: Batory had no children, no heir, no one to carry his name. His death would leave an enormous power vacuum. And that vacuum, for many powerful players, was the kind of once-in-a-lifetime opportunity that doesn't come twice. And this is exactly where the case file opens. and what's inside it will disturb you. After Batory died, documents started disappearing. A critical portion of the autopsy notes never reached the Royal Archives. Some witnesses who had been present at the scene fell into a strange silence in the weeks that followed, as if they had seen nothing, heard nothing, as if they had never been in that room at all. And the surgeon Elebotius? He quietly left his post shortly after the autopsy. For the rest of his life, he never said a single word about Batory's death in public. Not one word. You can read that as coincidence, or you can't. I want to ask you something now. If you had been a servant in that castle that day, if you had waited outside that room, seen the frozen expression on the surgeon's face as he walked out, noticed the disappearing documents, watched the witnesses go silent one by one, and if you had wanted to share what you saw, what would have been done to you to make you stay quiet? And if you had known that in advance, how long could you really have held on? Because history has shown us this over and over without mercy. When death circles powerful people, those who know the truth either go silent or they themselves disappear not long after. When modern medicine revisited this case in the 20th century, a clear answer still didn't come. Polycystic kidney disease remains the strongest candidate, yes, but even that diagnosis doesn't explain everything. Because in that era, this disease had no treatment, no diagnosis, no name at all. If Batory had known, what could he have done with that knowledge? He could only have waited. And while waiting, he could have kept sitting on the throne, kept appearing strong, kept making sure no one found out. Perhaps that is exactly what he did. And now, look at history's most bitter irony. Stefan Batory was one of the most dangerous men of the 16th century. He survived on battlefields. He dodged assassination attempts. He checkmated his rivals in Europe's most poisonous political games. He came back from the very edge of death again and again. And in the end, what brought him down was neither an enemy sword nor a spy's carefully prepared poison. It was that dark mass growing inside him in silence, the one no one could see, the one that had no name, or at least that is what we were told, because all that remains is a single sentence from a surgeon 400 years ago. Nothing like this has ever been seen before, and what lies behind that sentence, we will probably never fully know. The past has more secrets to tell. Subscribe to uncover them.